Part 1. There are stories from the ocean that sailors refuse to talk about. Not because they're myths, but because nobody can explain them. This is the terrifying story of a fisherman who boarded an abandoned ship in the middle of the ocean and came back completely changed. Some people believe the ship was haunted. Others believe it was something far worse, because according to Eric, he was not alone on that ship. Eric Dawson had spent most of his life at sea. Every morning before sunrise, he would take his small fishing boat into the cold Atlantic waters and return before dark. For years, nothing unusual had ever happened, until one morning in late October. The weather had been perfect when he left the harbor. Clear sky, calm waves, no signs of danger. But nearly an hour into the trip, something strange happened. A thick wall of fog began forming around the boat. At first, Eric thought it was normal sea mist, but within minutes, the fog became so dense that he could barely see the front of his own boat. The ocean suddenly felt silent, too silent. No birds, no wind, no sound except the water hitting the side of the boat. Eric tried using his compass. It spun strangely. That's when panic slowly started setting in. He realized he had completely lost his direction. Then, through the fog, he saw something massive, a ship, a huge dark cargo vessel drifting silently across the water. No lights, no movement, no sound, just floating there like a shadow in the mist. Eric carefully moved closer. The ship looked old, rusted, and abandoned. Its exterior was covered in stains from years at sea. But the strangest thing, there was no visible damage, no signs of a crash, no distress signals, nothing. He shouted toward the ship, no response. After several seconds of hesitation, Eric tied his small fishing boat to the side ladder and climbed aboard. The second his feet touched the deck, a strange feeling hit him. The air felt colder, heavy, like the ship itself was alive. Part 3. Eric grabbed a flashlight and slowly moved downstairs. The lower levels of the ship were dark and freezing cold. Every hallway felt endless. Every shadow looked human. Then suddenly, bang! A loud crash echoed through the corridor behind him. Eric spun around. Nothing. But seconds later, he noticed something horrifying. Wet footprints, fresh footprints, leading deeper into the ship. He followed them carefully, step by step, until they suddenly stopped, right in front of him, as if whoever made them had simply vanished into thin air. Exhausted and terrified, Eric finally decided to leave the ship, even if he had to swim. But as he stood near the edge of the deck, something violently shoved him from behind. He fell straight into the freezing ocean. The water was brutally cold. Eric struggled to stay above the surface as waves crashed around him. Then he saw it, a rope hanging from the side of the ship. He grabbed it with his final strength and pulled himself upward. But the second he climbed back on board, he heard footsteps running above him, fast, heavy, impossible to ignore. Eric chased the sound, but every time he turned a corner, nothing was there. Hours later, Eric spotted lights in the distance. Another ship, a massive cargo vessel moving directly toward him. Relief flooded his body. He screamed for help, waved his jacket, flashed his light. But the giant ship showed no signs of slowing down. It was coming straight toward him. Part 2. He slowly walked across the deck. Everything was completely silent. No crew members, no footsteps, no voices, nothing. Then he entered the dining area and froze. There were plates of food still sitting on the tables, coffee cups half full, chairs slightly pulled out, as if people had been there only minutes ago. But now, everyone was gone. Eric checked the cabins next. Beds were neatly made. Clothes were folded carefully. Personal belongings were untouched. No signs of violence. No blood. No explanation. That's when Eric realized something truly terrifying. Whatever happened here happened suddenly. Trying to stay calm, Eric searched for the control room. If he could activate the ship's radio, maybe he could contact the Coast Guard. The equipment looked old but functional. He attempted to start the engine. Nothing happened. Then he used the emergency radio. "Mayday, this is Eric Dawson. I'm aboard an abandoned cargo ship. If anyone can hear this, respond immediately." Only static answered him. Frustrated, Eric returned to the deck, and his heart nearly stopped. His fishing boat was gone. The rope he used to secure it had vanished too. Eric stared into the ocean in disbelief. That small boat was his only way home. But it had completely disappeared. Even worse. The fog was suddenly gone. The sky above him was now bright and perfectly clear. It was as if the storm had never existed. Eric checked his watch. Hours had somehow passed, but he couldn't remember where the time went. As darkness approached, Eric began hearing noises, soft metallic sounds, footsteps somewhere below deck. At first, he convinced himself it was the ship moving with the waves, but then he heard something else, a door slamming shut.